Costco sells a hot dog and a drink for $1.50. They've charged that exact price since 1985. It has never gone up, not once, not even during the highest inflation this country has seen in 40 years. That should be impossible. And the reason it isn't impossible is the same reason Costco makes more money than almost any retailer on earth, while looking like it barely makes any money at all. Here's the part almost nobody understands walking into a Costco. Every single thing you see on those shelves, the giant TVs, the pallets of paper towels, the rotisserie chickens, Costco is barely making any profit on almost all of it. Some of it, they are losing money on purpose. So if the products aren't the business, what is? Stick with me, because this is the single idea that explains the entire company, and once you see it, you will never walk through a Costco the same way again. Costco is not a retail company. Costco is a membership company that happens to sell groceries. And that one sentence changes everything about how the money actually works. Right now, Costco has more than 70 million paying members worldwide. Most of them pay $65 a year for the basic card. A smaller group pays $130 a year for the executive card, which pays them cash back. Multiply that out, and membership fees alone bring in more than $4.5 billion a year. Now here's where it gets interesting. That $4.5 billion is not just a nice bonus on top of their profit. For a huge stretch of Costco's history, membership fees have made up close to the entire operating profit of the company. Read that again. The stuff on the shelves, the food court, the gas station, all of it combined barely nudges the profit needle. The membership fee is the profit. Everything else is just the reason you keep paying it. So why would a company deliberately sell things at almost no markup? Because the moment you make that $65 commitment, Costco has already won. You feel like you need to use it. You feel like you need to get your money's worth. And that feeling is worth more to Costco than any individual sale ever could be. This is the same psychological trick gyms use with memberships nobody cancels, except Costco flipped it upside down. Instead of hoping you don't show up, Costco wants you to show up constantly, because every visit makes that membership fee feel more justified, and a justified fee gets renewed. And the renewal rate is the number that should actually shock you. In the United States and Canada, Costco's membership renewal rate sits above 90% year after year. Almost nobody who joins ever leaves. That is a subscription business Netflix would kill for, hidden inside a warehouse full of bulk peanut butter. But here's the question that took me a while to actually answer. If they're barely making money on the products, how do they keep prices so low in the first place? Because low prices should be the thing that bankrupts a company, not the thing that funds it. The answer is a rule so simple it sounds fake, and it's the reason every single item in that store exists in the first place. Costco caps its markup at 14%. On everything. No matter what the product is, no matter how much people would happily pay more for it, Costco refuses to charge more than 14% over cost. For comparison, a normal grocery store marks products up anywhere from 25 to 50%. Some specialty items get marked up over 100%. Costco looked at that entire industry and said, "We are capping ourselves at 14, forever, no exceptions, even if it costs us money in the short term." Why would any company do that to itself? Because it turns every single customer into a walking advertisement. When people realize Costco genuinely cannot rip them off, even if it wanted to, they stop comparison shopping. They stop checking other stores. Trust becomes the entire marketing budget, and marketing is usually one of the biggest expenses any retailer has. Now let's talk about the part of Costco that looks the most insane on paper. The rotisserie chicken. $4.99. Same price since the year 2009, through every wave of inflation, every rise in chicken prices, every supply chain crisis. And Costco has openly admitted they lose money on that chicken. So why keep selling it at a loss on purpose? Because the CEO of Costco once said, if you raise the price of that chicken, you will hear about it from every single member. That chicken isn't a menu item. It's a promise. It's proof, every single time you walk in, that Costco is still keeping its word on price. Here's another layer to this most people never notice. Costco actually built its own poultry processing plant in Nebraska, just to keep that chicken price locked in. They spent almost $500 million building a facility they don't even need to profit from, purely to protect one loss-leading product that keeps millions of members walking through the door every week. Now think about what that chicken is actually doing psychologically. You walk in for a $4.99 chicken. You walk out having spent $180. That's not an accident either. That's the entire layout of the store working exactly as designed. Almost nobody notices this, but Costco deliberately places its most tempting, most impulsive items right in the center aisles, the ones you have to walk through no matter what you came in for. Electronics, seasonal items, jewelry, all placed so that your planned 20-minute trip turns into an hour. And they change that layout constantly, on purpose. If the store looked the same every visit, your brain would learn exactly where everything is, walk straight to it, and leave. Costco doesn't want you to know the store. They want you to discover it, every single time. This is actually a documented psychological effect retailers call the treasure hunt. When you're not sure what you'll find, your brain treats every good deal like a small win. That feeling of stumbling onto something unexpected is worth more to Costco than any advertisement could ever be, because you can't buy that feeling with an ad. You have to walk in and feel it yourself. Now let's talk about Kirkland Signature, because this is where things get genuinely brilliant. Kirkland isn't just a store brand slapped on cheap products. Kirkland now generates more revenue on its own than companies like Nike. Not Costco. Just the Kirkland brand alone. Here's the hidden truth behind that. A huge number of Kirkland products aren't made in some anonymous factory. They're made in the exact same factories as the name brand versions sitting right next to them on the shelf, sometimes on the very same production line, just without the marketing budget stacked on top. That means when you buy Kirkland over the name brand, you're not sacrificing quality most of the time. You're just refusing to pay for the advertising that convinced you the name brand was worth more in the first place. Costco figured out that most of what we pay for isn't the product. It's the story wrapped around the product. Now here's a number that should genuinely surprise you. Kirkland products typically make up around a third of everything Costco sells, and the margins on Kirkland products run noticeably higher than the name brand alternatives, because Costco controls the entire supply chain instead of splitting profit with a middleman brand. So membership funds the company. Low margins build trust. The chicken proves the promise. Kirkland quietly boosts the real profit underneath it all. But there's one more piece of this puzzle, and it might be the smartest part of the entire business model. The food court and the gas station. Most people think of these as side businesses. They are not. They're loyalty tools disguised as convenience. Cheap gas gets you onto the property multiple times a week. A $1.50 hot dog gets your kids begging to go back. And every single time you're there for gas or food, you walk past the exact same tempting center aisles we talked about earlier. This is where everything connects. Cheap gas and cheap food aren't there to make money on their own. They're there to increase how often you physically walk through that door, because the more often you walk through that door, the more that $65 membership feels worth renewing, and renewal is where the real profit actually lives. Now let's zoom out and actually look at the full financial picture, because the scale of this business is almost hard to process. Costco does over $250 billion in annual revenue. But the net profit margin on all of that, the retail side, sits at around 2 to 3%. That is razor thin. Most industries would consider that barely surviving. But remember what we learned earlier. That thin margin isn't a mistake. It's the entire strategy. Low margins keep prices low. Low prices keep members loyal. Loyal members renew. And renewals, at over 90%, quietly generate a profit stream that barely depends on the razor-thin retail margin at all. Here's the part that separates Costco from almost every other retailer that has tried to copy this exact model and failed. Discipline. It would be incredibly easy for Costco to raise that 14% markup cap. Shareholders have asked for it. Analysts have suggested it. And the company has refused, over and over, for decades. Because the moment that cap moves, even a little, the entire trust mechanism cracks. Members start wondering what else changed. They start comparison shopping again. The whole quiet machine only works because it has never, not once, broken its own promise. This is also why Costco spends almost nothing on traditional advertising compared to its competitors. When your customers trust you this deeply and renew at rates this high, you don't need billboards. Your members become the advertisement, telling friends and family to sign up, because a good recommendation converts better than any ad campaign ever could. Now, is this model actually risk-free? No business this size is. Costco's entire strategy depends on volume. They need massive foot traffic and massive membership numbers to make those razor-thin margins add up to real money. If membership growth ever slowed significantly, or if a major economic shock kept people from renewing, that thin margin has very little cushion to absorb the hit. And there's real competition circling this exact model. Sam's Club and BJ's Wholesale both run similar membership warehouse strategies, fighting for the same customers with the same basic playbook. The difference has come down to execution, trust, and how disciplined each company stays about not breaking its own pricing promise. So here's the full picture, connected in one line. Costco makes almost nothing selling you products. It makes its real money by making you trusted enough to pay for the privilege of shopping there in the first place, and then reinforcing that trust every single time you walk in, with a chicken that never changes price, a markup that never goes above 14%, and a brand that quietly outperforms companies 10 times its size. The lesson underneath all of this goes far beyond one warehouse chain. The most valuable thing any business can build isn't a clever product or a flashy advertisement. It's a promise it refuses to break, even when breaking it would be easy, even when breaking it would be profitable in the short term. Because trust, once it's earned at that scale, becomes something almost impossible for a competitor to copy. You can copy a warehouse layout. You can copy a membership fee. You cannot copy 90% of the country believing you'll never rip them off. So next time you walk past that $4.99 chicken or swipe that membership card without thinking twice, remember what's actually happening. You're not just buying groceries. You're renewing a promise that a company made to you years ago, and somehow, against every incentive to break it, has never once taken back. If this changed the way you'll look at your next Costco run, hit like, subscribe for more breakdowns exactly like this one, and drop a comment telling me which part of this surprised you the most, the chicken, the 14% cap, or the fact that Kirkland alone outsells Nike. I read every single one. See you in the next breakdown.